Not in the frame, still not in the frame.
You got it? Sit down, bro.
I like getting up though, bro.
Sit.
Y'all see my muscles?
This is CPGM.com. Got a little technical difficulty. Oh, there he goes, man. The man of the hour.
Yeah. Listen.
CPGM Drew.
Listen.
Look at that, man.
It's the game of the week, as we do every week. Get over. Oh, wrong way. My bad. Right.
You was perfect before.
Oh, what? Back up. Yeah. Come on. Y'all see. Okay, I'm in there. All right, that's it. All right, man. So we back. We doing the game of the week again. It is going to be the. Let me do it, bro. I don't like when you do it, bro. CouchPotatoGM.com is the website. Couch Potato General Manager is the YouTube channel. You know because you are on it. We're here to do the game of the week. We're talking about the Baltimore Ravens at the cheating stadium.
Yeah,
I don't. Wait till we. Hopefully that'll be a game of the week at some point. So I can throw it in there. The Cowboys? No. It's Cowboys? Oh, not the Cowboys. It's Baltimore Ravens at the Seattle Seahawks, the 12th man, the cheating stadium, the stadium where they designed it so that there's more noise than there actually is. But we're here to talk about this game, man. We're here to talk about two African-American quarterbacks. Can I say that? Am I allowed to say that? Okay, I just make sure. All right, cool. I mean, I can say that too. But we have one CPGM over here who's under the weather. We have the other one over here who's jet lagged. We have me. I'm neither of those things. I know y'all like to hear my voice, so I'm here to speak about this game. They're not going to say anything. I got it all by myself. No, I really don't. But let's talk about these two teams, man. Let's talk about the Baltimore Ravens. What are they, 4-2?
Yeah.
They have, who did they lose to? They lost to
Chiefs and Browns.
The Chiefs and the Browns. They lost to Chubb. Big Chubb.
Earl Thomas didn't want to pull a hamstring.
What did he do? He's good? You're not going to catch him? Well, Juice, what did you say off air, bro? You want to pull it off the bone and still wouldn't have caught him?
Yeah, he still wouldn't have caught him.
Still wouldn't have caught him?
Even if he tried to open up.
Is that the best safety in the game right now?
I don't think so.
Okay.
You got Harrison Smith out there.
Mm-hmm.
Devin McCourty.
Oh yeah, gotta respect. McCourty always goes under the radar, but that whole Patriots secondary is crazy. It's lights out over there.
Something else is going on over there. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I don't know what it is, bro. Something else, bro. Might be another
Spygate, baby.
Might be another gate going on, bro. Juice gate, bro. Let's get it, bro. No, we respect the Patriots. That's a good defense. Super opportunistic in the boys. I mean, is that the best defense the Patriots ever had, bro?
Yeah. It looks that way.
It's crazy. Every time I turn around, them boys causing a turnover, man. So, but
they may have been more talented in the front seven before. But the all 11 is crazy.
What's up, brothers? I'm rooting for a Ravens win. My Niners need it.
Yeah, man, that division. We're gonna talk about that division soon, man.
We're gonna get there.
That division is pretty tough.
Is that Chris Carson?
No, it's talking about
they did a little jet sweep action.
Okay, I missed it. Okay.
Look at them. But let's start with the quarterbacks, man. Lamar Jackson was what early MVP candidate. He was balling.
Him and Hollywood Brown for offensive rookie of the year.
Yeah, it was a lot going right. But right now, the front runner is Russell Wilson for MVP. This guy hasn't thrown an interception yet, man. Can we break down the differences in their game?
Yeah, I mean we can do that. Russell Wilson. By the way, he had 12 touchdowns, the most touchdowns in the league starting last week before the game started last week. I don't know if that's still the case. It probably is. But I mean, you got Russell Wilson, deadly accurate, put it anywhere you want him to put it.
I ain't never seen a shot put it on that.
It's just Madden, bro. It's not real. It's a video game.
All right.
It's not real.
I don't know, but he broke a lot of tackles in college, though. San Diego State. Yeah,
he broke a lot of big plays.
Yeah.
There was a lot of big plays.
Well, I remember somebody saying he broke a whole bunch of tackles.
Who said that?
I said that. I run the tape.
Check the tape.
Wilson, best deep ball thrower in the league.
Oh, you called it. You called it. It's not A.A. Ron?
Nah, it's Russell Wilson, man. The touch on his passes, it's impeccable, man. It's like the receivers don't even gotta do anything. It's right there in their hands, man. And it's just a beautiful thing, man. Beautiful.
It's special, man. And this is a guy who can carry his football team. What do you call it?
Russell saved me.
Russell saved me. Chris Sims calls it a fire drill every play. Obviously,
Chris Sims call it.
I don't know. I
That's not what I call it.
Okay.
Russell saved me.
Okay, Russell saved me.
Chris Sims.
I'm just saying. I like some of the words he uses. The phrase he uses.
Chris Sims a lot, man.
Nah, I don't, bro. Don't do that. Check the tapes.
Where did he play football? Chris Sims?
Texas.
You know it.
Buccaneer love, right?
Yeah, no, ain't no Buccaneer love, bro, because he be poo-pooing on the Bucks most of the time. But yeah, man, Russell Wilson, man, he's best quarterback in the league. He can propel your team. You know, you have those quarterbacks who are quote unquote game managers.
Oh, yeah,
Nice.
Earl Thomas miss though.
Nice. That's video game Earl Thomas. It's better than real life Earl Thomas, I guess. But yeah, he's the type of player that can carry your football team. He's the type of player who can be a game manager. Like you've seen all aspects of him play the quarterback position. He can do it all from many different platforms and levels. And it looks like the offensive line is ready to go, good to go. They figured out kind of what they want to do on offense, and then you throw in a splash of DK Metcalf, and they're off to the races, man. I mean, they only lost one game this year due to. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, did you see that? Oh, I was. They don't know if I'm playing or not.
We try to trick the viewers, man. You gave up our secret.
Can't give away the sauce, man. Can't give away the sauce. But yeah, man, it's the Seattle. They've only lost one game this year. It was against the Saints, and it was due to what did the Saints score? I think a defensive touchdown. They definitely scored a special teams touchdown. Both. So that was the only reason they lost at home with the 12th man.
Yeah, and last season you could see the Seahawks, man. They made a fundamental change in their offense.
Yep.
You know, it was before Russell run around, save me, but they running the football. They started to run the football, and sometimes it can be a detriment because, you know, sometimes they get too
wrapped up in,
you know, run first down, run second down, throw on third down, get too predictable. But, you know, Chris Carson's a monster, and he's gonna get fed a lot in this game, man. It's gonna be a lot of Chris Carson in this game.
No Rashad Penny.
Barely.
And I know that Will Dissly and Russell Wilson had a special connection, and you know Will Dissly obviously he tore his Achilles, so he's going to be out. So enters in Luke Wilson over there on the offense. But let's slide over to the Ravens, man. What Lamar? He's special. We was talking off air. What did you have to say about Lamar, man? What was special? What's special about him, man?
I mean, I like I said before, you know, evaluating Lamar coming into the league. You know, I thought he would continue to develop as a passer. You know, if you go way back and you talk about his freshman year at Louisville, he looked like a receiver. He looked like he should be a ball carrier. You know how the running joke is, you know, he's more running back than anything else. I don't buy that. I see leadership in Lamar. I see him continually getting better as a passer. I saw that at Louisville year to year, and I see it in the NFL now that they have some actual offensive know-how. And they're putting him in positions to be successful more often than not. I think as the Ravens continue to surround him with legitimate weapons, the health of Hollywood Brown, that particular connection continues to grow. Obviously, he has a good connection with Mark Andrews. Willie Snead has come up big. I think you'll continue to see a better passer. But what he does as a ball carrier, it puts so much stress on the defense and allows the Ravens to sustain drives even when the defense does well, you know, initially in terms of the coverage or the pass rush, you know, and, you know, we were kind of talking about comparing him to some of those other quarterbacks that are really can make a difference with their legs. And, you know, we mentioned Kyler Murray, who's new, obviously, this year's first overall pick, got a ton of speed, has some suddenness to him, that burst, obviously, but he's not making guys miss per se. We even went back further and we thought about Vic. You know, Vic obviously is kind of the gold standard as it pertains to guys who can really make a difference with his legs. And Vic generally would just outrun you to the boundary. You know what I'm saying? Or just kill an angle with his speed. Lamar can do that, but what he brings to the table that those two don't necessarily or didn't necessarily do was the fact that he'll make you miss. There'll be times where there's two defenders between Lamar and the first down sticks, and he makes both of them miss. They don't get a finger on him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's unique.
Yeah.
It's not unique that he can make plays with his legs. It's unique that he can make defenders actually miss in the open field.
It's the cutting ability, man.
Yeah.
He's able to put guys on skates, man, and like you said, like make guys miss in the open field. So definitely, you know, he got that speed to go along with it. So after he cut up on you, he could run 40 yards more down the field. So he's just an explosive weapon that you know, the Seahawks are gonna have to contain.
You know, one thing that I really like about the Ravens and an addition that they had once they got this player figure, you know, is as long as they don't have 16 players at the position, that this man's finally gonna get his shot and play and not be in the doghouse is Mark Ingram. You know, and they use him in the way that he should be used. I know, you know, he had some seasons over there with the Saints, but there was times where you're just like, for whatever reason, Sean Payton wouldn't run the football or just wouldn't use Mark Ingram in that way. I'm not sure, but you know, I guess Sean Payton's figured that out with Alvin Kamara. But with the Ravens, man, I love the style that they want to play with, and he matches everything well, and it's good to see, you know, a guy who finally gonna get his due, you know, get some real run over and over. Yeah. But yeah, man. All right, man. So let's talk about what is the key matchups in this game?
Ingram was in the doghouse with Peyton.
Always and forever, man.
And I never fully understood that, though. You know, but before we transition to some of those key matchups, I think that's a good comment that was made. You know what I mean? We agree wholeheartedly, and it really never made a lot of sense to me. Of course, you know, our old school approach is if you put the ball on the ground, you know, you're going to sit. Yep. You're going to sit or whatever the case may be. But there seemed to be some genuine angst outside of what was on the field with Mark Ingram. And, you know, we talk about quarterbacks progressing and getting better over time, you know what I mean, year-to-year progression. Mark Ingram got better year after year. You know, you saw more shiftiness, you saw more explosiveness, more power. You know what I mean? He got better in the short yardage area. Of course, these were all things that you expected him, you know, being a Heisman Trophy winner out of Alabama. But he had to learn, and that is the case with some running backs at the NFL level. They have to learn how to play at that level. And he did that at a very high level. The Saints were at their best when both Kamara and Ingram were focal points of the offense. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I never understood it, and I'm glad. That second contract Mark Ingram signed with the Saints, I was like, I don't know why he would have done that.
I thought that was a
mistake.
Yeah.
I thought it was a mistake. You know, of course he had quality years there. Don't get me wrong, but I think he's the perfect back. Plus, he brings a certain level of leadership to this roster. You know, this is a young team now. Yeah. You know, the Ravens had gotten old and seemingly had been old for a long time, and then they got really young really fast. You know what I'm saying? Because of course, moving off of Joe Flacco, some retirements, and then, of course, you know, the loss of several free agents, you know, key veterans. So, you know, Ingram is a stabilizing force in that backfield.
The matchups, man. I think the key matchup in this game is Seattle's receivers versus the Ravens secondary. Mm-hmm. You know, because, you know, Seattle, they want to run the ball, they want to establish the run, but they take a lot of shots down the field.
Seahawks WR versus Ravens secondary. Also interior line play on both sides.
Yeah, definitely, man. Because that Ravens secondary has been kind of struggling. You know, Marlon Humphrey's been balling, but everybody else is just not doing their assignments, getting blown coverage. We've seen the game against the Chiefs, man. There was a ton of blown coverages in that game. So if Seattle, once they start running the football, they're going to look to take some shots down the field. They just, the Ravens just traded for Marcus Peters. We know he gets beat a lot. You know, he's back in zone, predominantly zone a lot in Baltimore. Maybe it helps his career out, but, you know, he gets beat a lot. So that's going to be the matchup right there, man. When Seattle takes those shots down the field, are the Ravens going to be in place? Is Earl Thomas going to be there? This is a revenge game for Earl Thomas. He's back in Seattle, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I think that's the matchup to watch.
You know, I want to kind of expound on that Marcus Peters situation. You know, it's almost as if he's forcing the issue. We talk about it. We joke about it. You know, Marcus Peters could be 40 yards from the line of scrimmage and his head's still in the backfield. Yeah. You know, so he's still trying to jump around 40 yards away from the line of scrimmage. But he's one of those players where, he'll gamble. But when he was playing at his best, the ball just found him. Yeah. At the collegiate level, with Kansas City, the ball just found him. So if you just do your job, the ball will find you. You're just one of those players. You're just one of those players where the ball just happens to always find you. And generally, he makes a play on the football. So just do your job. Don't force feed the situation. You know what I mean? Yeah. And hopefully he gets back to that, because he's been doing the opposite of that. He's been trying to do too much, and he's playing with zero technique. You know what I mean? It's as if he's never been coached before. And I understand that he's had some clashes with different coaching staffs and has some you know, his mindset, the way he approaches things. But at this level, especially when you're playing zone, because that's where we believe he's most effective. Ultimately, that's where he's played his best football. You have to do your job. Zone. The difference between man and zone, you know, people tend to think that zone is easier. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. You know what I mean? Yeah, you have to have the physical tools to play man, to hold up in man. But the spatial awareness and the
more to be concerned with.
Absolutely, and the willingness to trust those around you comes into more play when it pertains to zone coverage.
Absolutely. We was talking off air, and I think one of the biggest matchups here is going to be, for me, who's going to be the guy that covers Tyler Lockett, who's going to be the guy that covers DK Metcalf. This might be the game where he blows up. This might be fantasy.
A lot of times, zone turns to man.
Oh, absolutely, especially when the quarterback starts to scramble and get outside the pocket and the play breaks down. Absolutely.
You got to plaster at some point, and that's where your boy struggles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's where he struggles.
Because he wants to keep his eyes on where the ball is going, who has the football versus just let me cover this guy.
But my point, before you move on, Drew, my point is that if my responsibility is to be in the deep third, I don't need to be jumping routes like I'm in cover 2.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I need to trust that the guys in front of me, or be okay with the 6-yard gain, as opposed to giving up a TD. You know what I mean? That's the whole point, is to keep it in front of you. And Marcus Peters doesn't do that.
That's the trade.
You talking about DK Metcalf blowing up?
Yeah, so DK Metcalf blowing up, #fantasy alert. I'm just wondering who's gonna cover him because is Marlon Humphrey gonna shadow and follow Tyler Lockett? Because to me, I'd be damned if I watch Marcus Peters cover Tyler Lockett, because to me that's a disaster waiting to happen, in my opinion. You know, obviously I feel like DK Metcalf is a more of a straight line runner. Is a guy who's gonna run right at you. He's not gonna hit you. He's not gonna poo on you in the route, hit you with one of these, and then got your ankles all broken and your ACL all tore up. None of that. I think that's where maybe Marcus Peters can come in and kind of take that over. You know, DK Metcalf is a bigger guy, but I feel like, you know, Peters is a guy who could cover him. But you know, I don't know, man. Again, we playing with fire when you're talking about Peters being the guy out there to cover. So, you know, and he's in a new scheme as well, too. You know,
and we don't know exactly how much Peters is going to play this weekend.
Yeah.
But to your point, I tend to agree with you. Now that you've kind of broken it down, I tend to agree with you. I want Marlon Humphrey on Tyler Lockett because I think Tyler Lockett can hurt you in more ways than DK Metcalf can. You know, obviously Metcalf has flashed his ability, physical specimen, really can get downfield. Has made some plays in the intermediate parts of the field as well. I want to give him his credit, but he's not quite as polished, obviously, as Tyler Lockett. He's not going to hurt you in as many ways as Tyler Lockett. So yeah, I want Humphrey to take him away, and then we can roll coverage. We can do some different things to deal with the rookie receiver.
And on the flip side, when you talk about the Ravens offense, I just wonder I know Lamar is a beast. I know Mr. Jackson is a baller, but I'm just wondering who he's throwing the ball to, because is Hollywood playing? You know, and I know they like to run the football, and they got 17 tight ends on the roster, but I'm just wondering who he's going to be throwing the football to, because this Seattle defense, there ain't no slouch, and you talk about Clowney, who's one of they have a stat that put out today, the most double-team defensive ends in the league, and Clowney was on there somewhere in the top 5 from what I remember. So, you know, who's blocking that guy, who's taking that guy on, but, you know, I just from the Ravens side of things, I'm just trying to figure out from the offensive side of who is Lamar throwing the football to, because it can't be Lamar and bust, it can't be Lamar Jackson tight ends and bust. We got to find a receiver, and that was one of my biggest things, you know, going into this year. I know he's got Hollywood, but who else is he throwing the football to?
Well, let me ask you a question.
Miles Boykin?
Let me ask you a question.
That's the next guy up.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question. From a passing standpoint, how do you attack the cover 3?
For the cover 3, you just got to take what the defense gives you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The cover 3, they don't want anything behind you.
Sure.
You know, so you want to take the dump downs, the running backs out of the backfield, things of that nature, man. So maybe Justin Hill, Justin Hill gets some play in this game, but that's how you want to attack the cover 3.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also think there may be some opportunities, and this is where, to your point, Lamar has to be patient. Some opportunities will present itself where you can work the seams.
Yes.
That's how you push the ball down the field against the cover 3. You have to manipulate that guy in the middle of the field, though. You got to get him leaning one way or the other and attack that other hash. But to your point, it all depends on, you know, making guys kind of suck up, because you need that space in between the safety and the linebackers, obviously.
Number 3, attack the LB seams.
Exactly, and that's exactly what I'm saying in terms of making sure that the linebackers respect that short area of the field, whether it be Ingram, Justice Hill, Edwards out of the backfield, the tight ends on the drags and so on and so forth. And then attack with Andrews down the seams or Willie Snead. Willie Snead's tough, you know what I'm saying? He's not a big receiver, but he'll go over the middle and make those plays. But you got to get that free safety kind of committed to one side of the field or get him in no man's land in order to attack. So when the opportunity presents itself, make that play and make a decisive throw, but be patient. Wait for it.
Yeah, you got to be patient.
So I know that the point spread is minus 3.5. Seattle, obviously, they're at home. They get in the 3. So in Vegas' eyes, it's pretty much an even game for the most part. But what do y'all thinking the score is going to be, man? What you thinking? What you thinking? What you got?
I got the Seahawks at home. I'm going to go 24-17.
24-17?
Seattle.
Okay. Just what you're saying.
I think it's gonna be a higher scoring game than that. I think I'm gonna probably roll with Seattle too, although the Ravens pulling out a upset when he shocked me because of the Lamar factor. But I'm thinking like 31-27. I think there's gonna be points in this game. I know there's question marks in terms of who Lamar is going to throw the ball to, but I like the Ravens' offensive line. I think they'll be able to run the football once they slow down the pass rush a little bit because of the threat that Lamar presents, in terms of keeping the football himself. I think they'll be able to put those guys in a bind, put Clowney in a bind. Clowney's going to come down crashing down on the running back, and then out the gate is Lamar, you know what I mean? And then, of course, like I said, once Wagner, KJ Wright, they start looking in the flat and trying to step on some of those shorter routes, I think there'll be some opportunities downfield. So I think it's going to be a really competitive game. Obviously we chose it as the game of the week, and I think there are going to be more points because the Seattle, they're not dominant defensively. They do get some help in terms of Jaron Reed, but we'll see what kind of snap count is he on, whether or not he has his legs up under him or whatever the case may be. But I think there's going to be more points scored in this game.
All right, man, I'm going to keep it close. I'm going to call it 24-20. Going with Seattle, they're at home. I'm going to go with the home team, and it's a team who I feel should be a part of the undefeated, but you play one bad game, you see what happens, you lose, even if you're at home, and one of the best home field advantages throughout the NFL. But let's talk about, since we've talked about these two teams, let's talk about their divisions. Okay, let's go to the AFC North. That used to be the big dog division, the black and blue division. No, that was Dallas' division. My bad.
No, black and blue is the Bears, isn't it?
No, it was always.
It used to go NFC East.
It was NFC
Black and blue.
Yeah, he knows. He's a Dallas fan. He knows. That's good. But this used to be the rough and tough division. You had the Steelers, you had the Ravens, you had the Bengals, and the Browns are always getting kind of stepped on, stepped over, passed over. I don't know if they've actually caught up because we have Baker Mayfield out there throwing picks. We have the Bengals who just suck.
Yeah.
They have a bunch of talent on that football team. We talk about from the defensive side of the ball, and I'm not sure what's going on over there, but they suck. Offensively, we know what the issue is it's a new offense, and the offensive line sucks. And then your star receiver who is in trade talks with AJ Green. Y'all seen the little meme or whatever it is over on the sideline? He's just this. I don't know if I want to be here. I don't know if that's what he was thinking, or if he's thinking like I need to get home and watch this Netflix, the Stranger Things or whatever. But yeah, man, that's not a good football team. Period. I knew they were gonna struggle, but damn, I didn't know it was gonna be this bad.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. And then you have the Ravens who we talked about them, and then the Steelers, man. The Steelers making a comeback, or they played a couple of ducks in a row and they ain't coming back. That's it. Mike Tomlin, is he going to the Redskins? That's okay. That's a win.
Probably a bad decision, bro.
Okay.
You never know, man.
All right.
I think this is the Ravens division, man. I think they win this division. The only other team I can see to compete with them is the Cleveland Browns. But you see Baker Mayfield, he's leading the league in interceptions right now, turning the football over a lot. I know Cleveland did beat Baltimore, so we'll see what happens later on down the season in the standings, and if that's going to mean anything. But to me, man, it's the Ravens, man. Unless Lamar Jackson gets hurt, I don't see them losing this division.
They got RG3 though. Good. I'm just saying, man. Just saying. Did you want to say anything about the Browns, man? Because I know you had expectations of them, or other people did. Like me, I had some expectations. And
You're always trying to conflate what I say, bro.
I like it.
I said, for the record, for the record, I thought the Browns weren't ready to live up to the expectations everybody had for them. Based on the collection of talent that they had, the way they finished last season, I understand why there should be optimism. I understand that.
Yeah.
But, when you talk about Vegas and the Super Bowl odds and this, I was just like, this is too much. This is too much. And then, of course, the leader of the team, the presumed leader of the team, Baker Mayfield, he got some growing up to do.
Soft skin.
He's got some growing up to do in terms of being that leader, in terms of truly carrying the weight of those expectations. And that goes for the entire team. That's not just on Baker Mayfield. We talked about it in the offseason. That trade of Kevin Zeitler, I get it. You pair Vernon with Myles Garrett, who's obviously one of the better defensive players in the league, one of the better players in the entirety of the NFL. But this team hasn't proven anything yet. And until they prove something, I'm not going to crown them.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So, that's really what it comes down to. They weren't ready to live up to those expectations. They have a ton of talent. There's time to turn this thing around, but I'm not certain that they will. I'm not certain that they have that coaching in place to do so, nor are they able to protect their quarterback enough to be able to actually turn this thing around and really push for the division.
It's crazy how Joe Thomas retired and boys finally get a squad on, but they still sorely missing that.
Yeah, and then we're talking about Greg Robinson. Now they might be benching Greg Robinson. Or getting rid of Greg
Traded
Robinson.
Austin Corbett, who they thought would be their starter at guard to replace Zeitler. He's now he wasn't playing. Now he's in Los Angeles with the Rams. You know what I mean? So you got this musical chair situation at offensive line, and of course, our focus is has always been that the offensive line is the most important position group on any NFL team. There aren't good football teams with bad offensive lines. It doesn't work that way.
It don't work that way. No, I mean unless you got Russell Wilson.
Right. Of course, unless you have Russell Wilson, yes.
Yeah. What is Greedy Williams and Denzel Ward? I'm so intrigued with Greedy Williams and Denzel Ward.
What's going on?
What's going on, man? When are they coming back on the football field?
They're like twins, bro. They do the same things. They get hurt the same. It's just, it is what it is. I don't know when they're coming back, but hopefully they're back soon so that the Browns can, make that run. But let's run over to the NFC West.
Best division in football?
I mean, yeah. I mean, you got the 5-1 Seattle Seahawks. You got the 6-0 49ers, or 5-0 49ers. They had a bye week. And you got the Rams, who should be good, should be better. Excuse me, but for whatever reason,
it's Jared Goff's fault, man.
It is it. He a bust, right?
Yeah, bust.
Yeah, bust.
That's the media, man. That's what the media's saying.
One of the biggest things that we especially Juice was talking about in the offseason with the Rams is Sean McVay going to evolve? Is he going to get better? Because we felt like in that Super Bowl, he didn't have a plan, man. He had a plan. His plan didn't work. He couldn't adjust. He didn't have a backup plan. You seen that your quarterback was struggling, and you didn't do anything to help him. And it appears they have the weapons. I just don't know if he uses those weapons properly in terms of the offense. I know that they're struggling with the offensive line. Then we go back to the offensive line again and see if you don't have an offensive line, if you don't have Russell Wilson to save you. You see what that looks like regardless of what do you got in the backfield in terms of a Todd Gurley or a Cooper Kupp or a Brandon Cooks.
Yeah,
I'm gonna leave that one out. And who's the other player? Mr. Robert Woods, can't leave him out. Probably the best receiver on the team. And then you got those two tight ends. But man, I didn't think the 49ers were that good, man. They beat my team, the Bucs, the first game of the season. 49ers fans was on a high. I was like, don't worry, y'all boys gonna lose. And it doesn't matter who they play. It doesn't matter the style of game that's being played. They just seem to win. I know they were playing. I remember watching the game against the Steelers, and it was like turnover after turnover. It was an ugly football game. And I was like, man, they probably gonna lose to these Steelers, man. They turned it out, man. So, Shanahan's got those boys playing. That defense is on fire. Who slimmed up? Who was that slim now?
Eric Armstead.
Eric Armstead. We finally figured out what we're doing with the defensive line.
He must be in a contract year.
Check the numbers.
I think he is, man.
Yeah. Contract year, check the numbers. Richard Sherman looking like, is he looking like the old Richard Sherman, or is he
not
just...
the old Richard Sherman, but he's played a lot better than he did last year.
Okay.
And a lot of that has to do with the fact that they actually get after the passer line.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? What was the stat last year? 35-2?
Yeah, they allowed 35 touchdowns on the 2 interceptions. That was the biggest issue, was that defensive line, especially that cover 3 defense that we talked about before, that they need a defensive line to get pressure with 4 men at all times. They invested a lot of draft capital in the offensive line, a lot of first-round picks all across that offensive line. And now it's finally coming to fruition. Defensive line.
Yep.
And now it's coming to fruition, man. You got Nick Bosa out there balling. You got Solomon Thomas out there, playing up to his billing. You know what I'm saying? We know DeForest Buckner is a beast. And then we talked about Armstead slimming up. So, and D Ford that he traded for is just, that the defensive line is carrying them. And
that
also,
run game.
Yeah, I'm a
14 running backs on the roster.
I'm a strong believer in Kyle Shanahan, man. I know, about Mike Shanahan. He had some issues in Washington and stuff like that, but Kyle Shanahan's offense, his running game, like he's missing both his starting tackles, and you know what I'm saying, he's still getting the job done. Scheme it up, man.
Yeah,
no more receivers.
There's no one scheming up the running game like Kyle Shanahan. You know what I'm saying? The way, and I heard Richard Sherman kind of describing it, how difficult it is to defend that because of the pressure that it puts on you, laterally, and then creating the cutback lane.
You got 3 plays that look the exact same.
Exactly. But at the same time, Kyle Shanahan, he'll employ a fullback. You know what I'm saying? He'll give you a few different formations. And then you mentioned Sean McVay.
Fullback got hurt though.
He did. But you mentioned Sean McVay, and Sean McVay, he's not using his personnel effectively.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I get it. You're 11 personnel. That is your base. And you want everything to look the same. Well, the defense is catching up. Warren Sapp always say the fastest adapting organism on the planet is an NFL defense. So they've made adjustments. Where is your adjustment? At times, I see the 12 personnel, and they're effective when they're in 12 personnel. You know what I'm saying? I'd like to see it a little bit more. I thought I thought that was where they went wrong in the Super Bowl. Yeah. Get Higbee and Everett out there. They create matchup problems. They can help your offensive line. You understand what I'm saying? Whether it be a chip, whether it be max protect, whatever the case may be. So it's those types of wrinkles that I don't think get enough attention. And to your point, Kyle Shanahan, as it pertains to running the football, like I said, there are some guys who will scheme it up in terms of the screen game and passes and create these rubs and so on and so forth. But there isn't a whole lot of creativity in terms of the running game. And he's the best. I think without question he's the best in the NFL.
So let me ask you something. Since we're talking about the best guy who can scheme it up in terms of, he schemes it up very well in the pass game too, but
he does.
It's based off of the running game. Mm-hmm. If you could take the best of Kyle Shanahan and the best of Andy Reid, it's over, right? It's a wrap. Can we
offensively,
wrap it up?
Yeah. I'm not sure how you're gonna stop that.
Okay, well I'm gonna go get me 2 defensive coaches. I'm gonna put those guys together and we're gonna stop it.
Okay.
All right, that's how we're gonna do it. But
a Belichick and a Belichick clone. That's what you're gonna put together.
Yeah. It's wrap it up.
It's tough. It's tough. I'm thoroughly impressed, and we've known this. Obviously, but we've chalked it up to it's a Gary Kubiak zone scheme, and every running back looks good in that particular scheme. But this one looks a little bit different. It looks a little bit. It's some of the same principles. Don't get me wrong. It comes from that same school of thought, but there seems to be another level of creativity in it, in terms of the design, in terms of the looks, in terms of the pre-snap motion. It puts a lot of stress on the defense, and again, we've seen it from several coaches in terms of the passing game, but not the running game.
And then you think about it too. Them boys don't have a number one receiver, a true number one receiver. You say that's the guy we got to get.
Shanahan, Reid, Peyton, best play callers.
Yeah, Shanahan, Reid, and Sean Payton. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
But you talk about the 49ers. You talk about they don't have a number one receiver. They got a hell of a tight end who essentially can be a number one receiver. He can be whatever the hell you need him to be.
He's different, man.
Yeah.
George Kittle comes in the huddle and say, "Hey, let's run the ball." What other tight end you gonna hear? Let's say, "Hey, let's run the ball."
He's a throwback, bro.
Yeah.
But with and we're hard on Sparky because we think that gets too blown out of proportion. But when you play the inline like that, we could talk all Sparky all day. Now that's the cherry on top.
Yep.
The athleticism that he brings to the table. But to me, he's the best inline tight end in the game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, that mentality that they have. Like I said, I thoroughly enjoy inline tight end who can mix it up in the running game and a fullback. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if we're talking about the quote unquote copycat league, that's what I would be trying to employ a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody's out here in 11 personnel. Everybody's running 11 personnel. Everybody defensively is in a nickel, and that becomes their base. But when they see a tight end and a fullback, they can't defend the run. They can't stop it because they don't have the personnel. They haven't practiced. You know what I'm saying? To stop that.
Definitely, man. I want to see what happens to the 49ers when they have to pass.
Yeah.
Because I don't trust Jimmy Garoppolo.
Neither do I.
All that much.
You just hit somebody's sore spot.
I don't trust him, man. Your boy,
he hasn't proven
He's a Niners fan here, man. Let us know what you feel about Jimmy Garoppolo. But to me, I think he's a product of Kyle Shanahan's offense, and if it's left up to him, he makes a lot of bad decisions with the football, a lot of turnovers.
I can't disagree. All right, I can't disagree with that. Yeah, and let's talk about the last team in that division. We can talk about the Arizona Cardinals, and they're kind of what we expected, right? They're just kind of struggling, putting along.
Kyler's been playing really, really good of late.
Kyler is really, really good, though.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of him getting more and more experience under his belt.
Where are the W's?
They won last week.
They did win last week.
Okay, but where's the rest of them?
Well, they're not a good football team.
They're not a good football team. But as a Cardinals fan, you have to be encouraged that, okay, we drafted quarterbacks in back-to-back years. We just swung and missed, apparently. Didn't really give that staff an opportunity. Hired Mike McCoy. I don't know what that was about. But you basically did a reboot in a 12-month span. Did an entire reboot. And you look to have a legitimate quarterback. And that was our QB1 going into this past draft. You know what I mean? Yeah. We expected Kyler Murray to be good, And to this point, Kingsbury's offense is starting to kind of come alive. You're starting to kind of see a couple of different things. And I think he's learning. that, okay, I do need to slow it down at times. I do need to, and we'll see if he continues to grow, because I'm not convinced Kingsbury's a guy. But I think he's made some adjustments. He's done some self-evaluation as a play caller, and he's made some adjustments here in the first part of the season.
Yeah, comment was their O-line stinks.
And that's always been the case, and that's why they're not a good football team. As we stated before, there are no good football teams without a quality offensive line outside of maybe a previously quarterback Russell Wilson team. I think this Seattle Seahawks offensive line is probably better than they've had in previous years. But since they had that Max Unger, Carpenter, who was the tackle on that team? It's escaping me right now. But they had a pretty good group. When they were turning around and handing it off to beast mode. But then they made some changes. They traded for Jimmy Graham, and Carpenter went to the Jets in free agency, and that's when the offensive line fell apart. And of course, they hired Tom Cable, and that didn't make no sense because he's terrible. You know what I'm saying? So,
So we got Patrick Peterson coming back from Arizona, man. What do you think the Cardinals?
He's going to trade for Tampa.
You think the Cardinals should trade Patrick?
No, do I think they should? Yeah, I think they should. I think they there's, I don't.
The Eagles might want to.
To me, that's true too. I just don't know.
Howie Roseman need to make that happen because he missed out on Jalen Ramsey.
He didn't miss out on Jalen. That's 2 first-round picks.
Oh, okay, but let's think about it now.
I love Patrick Peterson because he's a cheaper guy.
I get it. I get it. And I love Patrick Peterson. Mm-hmm. My point is that if you wanted Ramsey, where you're at basically with this team, where you have just about everybody under contract.
Yeah.
It had to be one of those things where I don't think we can get the numbers right. I don't want to give up that much for rental.
And not be able to keep them.
That had to be the case because you're a legitimate defensive back away from being, right there in the NFC Championship game. I think you're that good collectively. I still have questions about Carson Wentz, but you got a hell of an offensive line. You can get after the passer. All right, you got a lot of weapons. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but I'm with you. If you can get Patrick Peterson, that's your consolation prize. Air quotes, because I'm a big Patrick Peterson fan. You know what I'm saying? Well, they do that.
What was that comment? Last comment?
Kingsbury and Andy Reid need to slow down a bit.
Yeah, man, we can. I mean, we were talking about Mr. Andy Reid, the man who all of a sudden he just don't run the football, or
that's kind of in his DNA.
No, but you normally,
about the running back
normally he will run it. Maybe the first half of the season, like you'll see a series of games where they'll just run the ball and be really good at running it. But this year, it's almost like they vacated it. And I don't know if it's. I think part of it is because they can't run the football. So he's like, well, we'll just pass.
I disagree that they can't run the football. I see Shady getting 5 yards a pop. You know what I mean? I think they've fallen in love with the fact that, they have all of these explosive weapons. They got the big arm QB. You know what I mean? And early in the season, the first few weeks, teams, these Ravens, for example, they were letting those speedsters get behind them. The Raiders, they were giving up that 3rd and 20. You know what I'm saying? Touchdown, and they were just getting such explosive plays, but. In some instances, it was a great play, it was a great throw, and a lot of instances, it was just bad defense. You know what I mean? And as teams have done a better job of keeping it in front of them, like for instance, I get why Mahomes made that throw last week against the Texans. It was a free play. But that should have been a pick. Tyreek Hill just went up and climbed the ladder above everybody and made a hell of a play. He made the play.
Shorter guy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So... they're not getting those chunk plays anymore, which means, and of course, they need to protect their defense a little bit. You know what I mean?
That's the comment.
Absolutely. They need to protect their defense, which means you need to run the football. That's what that means.
Right, not wrong.
This game's about to be over?
Yeah, it's going to end in a tie, unfortunately. Hopefully that don't happen this past Sunday. But hit us down in the comment section. Let us know who you think's going to win and why. Who's your team?
It's another OT, bro.
It's another OT?
Yeah.
When they do that?
I don't know.
Yeah,
this is sudden death.
Sudden death?
Yeah.
Oh,
because it has to be sudden death now. Because both teams had a possession, right? Or it's just been the Ravens the entire way.
I don't know. No, they got the ball in the same place.
Getting them freaked out, man.
So, yeah, maybe Seattle didn't touch the ball in overtime. I'm not sure.
Lamar got it. What you doing, Lamar? It's a lot of time.
Oh, taking off. You out of there. That's game. Oh, slide.
Yeah,
ball with the slide.
Let me ask you something, man. How the Falcons doing, bro?
Hopefully, bro, we don't do what we did last year and win the last 3 games of the season.
And then ruin your draft?
And ruin my draft pick, man. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully we keep on losing, get a top 5 pick, man, and get a balling, bro. Because this team right here, boys ain't it, man. They're terrible on defense. Offensive line sucks, bro. So, they have a lot of issues. We talked about the offensive line. You're not going to be a good football team with a bad offensive line. And we have a bad offensive line and even worse defense.
Let me ask you a question about that offensive line.
They can't draft.
You invested 2 first-round picks this season in it. And does it, from your perspective, is it just a matter of those 2 guys developing more?
Yeah, definitely got to develop. Well,
or do you need to make some legitimate changes on that offensive line?
I think Max getting a little older.
Okay.
Carpenter, I think he's just a fill-in. I think we need another guard.
Mm-hmm.
And Jay Matthews, he has to play better. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Jay Matthews has to play better. And then the rookies, the right guard, he hasn't been playing. He's out for 8 weeks. McGarry was out early this season, so I think we need to get more talent, man. More talented players across the offensive line.
What about sliding McGarry inside? Addressing the guard position, and then having to figure out what's going on at tackle.
Draft attack.
Yeah.
You're going to have an opportunity.
I would like that. That sounds good to me.
Andrew Thomas, anybody?
Hey, man, keep him in Georgia. Keep him home.
I'm just saying, man. But let me ask you something, man. What's going on, Dallas? Just saying.
Dallas took that L, man.
Yeah, man, took that fresh L.
I don't care, bro.
Come on, man. You watched the game.
Yeah,
I did. I watched all the games.
But you had special attention, man, to that Cowboys game.
I was in a room with quite a few Dallas fans, and as I've explained to them before, what can go wrong will go wrong in Dallas. And Dallas is a front runner. They're not a good team. They play to the level of competition. They still have legitimate question marks, and of course Lamar just ended it, I think.
I don't know if he got to touch the ball yet.
Well, it's a touchdown. So game over.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Right. But Dallas is in a must-win situation here against Philly. I think so. And from a mathematical standpoint, no, that's not the case.
But even if they lose to Philly, that division ain't.
I get it.
Ain't doing nothing.
I get it. But I think psychologically, it makes a lot of. I think this game is going to make a big difference in terms of how things play out. I'm not talking about mathematically. I'm talking about psychologically. You know what I mean? So we'll see. We'll see. I think Kellen Moore is an inexperienced play caller. That's what you're dealing with right now. And of course,
without
you
the
got
long
injuries at your
cover,
tackle
Tyre in trouble.
And before we go, man, we're not going to not talk about Jameis Winston 5 interceptions.
No, man, someone got a comment.
No, definitely. That offense is completely particularly the passing game is completely dependent on Amari Cooper being in the lineup. Even if the ball is not going to him.
Yeah.
Kellen Moore, the way they've designed things, it all depends on Amari Cooper being a guy that can consistently beat man-to-man coverage. And Jameis Winston threw 5 picks.
Yeah, you don't want to talk about it?
No, my team's on a bye week. What that last comment was?
No, that's what.
I just referenced it.
What?
That was my boy Zach Ertz.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I appreciate your comment. My team's on a bye week. CouchPotatoGeneral.com is the website. Couch Potato General Manager is your YouTube channel. You know it because you're on it. Hit us down in the comments section. Game of the week: Ravens at the Seahawks. Holla at your boy. Drink some beer.
Drop the mic.
Yeah.
Walked off.
I'm out, bro. Walked off.